Hi friends, welcome to Network Cloud Technologies. So today we are going to learn hypervisor and it is a VMware SXI 6.5.0. So let's see. So this is the agenda for today. So hypervisor and its types. So what is SXI 6.5? SXI 6.5 installation. So minimum hardware requirement. Bare metal machines 6.5 installation steps and accessing hypervisor after installing it and then log files in the SXI 6.5. So let's start. So first of all, what is hypervisor? So hypervisor basically it's a thin layer of software which is directly installed on the bare metal hardware, means hardware with no operating system. And on this platform, we can install various operating systems with their applications. And these various your operating systems with the applications are called virtual machines. So let's see what is hypervisor in the background. So first of all, there is a your bare metal machine means a piece of hardware. So it's your blade server, and on the top of your blade server, we are just going to install the SXI hypervisor software. And on the top of this hypervisor software, we are going to install multiple operating systems with their application softwares. So these multiple operating system means like this. So these multiple operating system which can run simultaneously on the top of this SXI layer. So these are called your virtual machines. So this is the function of your hypervisor. And further, this hypervisor decouples the virtual machines from the host hardware and dynamically allocates these virtual machines resources like your RAM, processor, storage, NIC to each VM as per its requirement of need. So let's study the hypervisor types. So there are two types of hypervisor. So it's a type 1 hypervisor or type and your type 2 hypervisor. Not talking about the type 1 hypervisor. Now your type 1 hypervisor, so it is also called the bare metal hypervisor, or we can also say it like your native hypervisor. And this hypervisor, it is installed on the bare metal machine. So a machine with no operating system. So this kind of machine, it is required by this type of hypervisor. So it doesn't need any kind of operating system for its installation. So it's need empty machine or empty hardware, your blade server, right? So examples are VMware SXL, Citrix Zen Server, Microsoft Hyper-V, Oracle VM Server for Spark, and Cisco KVM. Now further, so your type 1 hypervisor, what it needs, first of all, we need a we need a hypervisor hardware like your blade server, and on the top of your blade server, we are going to install your hypervisor. I'm putting here H, and on the top of this hypervisor, we are going to install your virtual machines or the guest operating system. So the operating system which is lying in the virtual machine is called the guest operating system. So your hypervisor, so it serves as a first layer, and your virtual machine with the operating system, it serves as a second layer. Now, talking about the type 2 hypervisor. So your type 2 hypervisor, it needs some kind of operating system for its installation. So it is not going to install on the bare metal machine. So if I talk about the layer scenario over here, so first of all, we need your bare metal machine, and on the top of bare metal machine, you are going to install your operating system. So operating system here, it is the first layer, and on the top of operating system, we are going to install type 2 hypervisor. So your type 2 hypervisor, it is serving like your second layer, and on the top of this type 2 hypervisor, we are just going to install your virtual machines, and the virtual machine with the operating system means your guest operating system, it is acting as your third layer. So this is how the type 1 and type 2 hypervisor are different from each other. And if we talk about the hypervisor type 2 examples, then your VMware Workstation, VMware Player, Fusion Player, Oracle VirtualBox, and the Microsoft Virtual PC. So your Microsoft Virtual PC, it needs the Windows operating system for its installation. whereas we can directly install the VMware SXI on the top of your hardware box. So this is the major difference between type 1 and type 2 hypervisor. So this needs only the vacant or empty machine, and the type 2 hypervisor, it needs some kind of operating system for its installation. So your type 2 hypervisor, so basically these are the applications, and your type 1 hypervisor basically it's the operating system. So it's a kind of operating system. So it's XS 6.5.0. So before your version 5.0, so the VMware hypervisor is called ESX, and after the version like 5, 5.0, 5.1, and if we are 5.5, 6.0, so now in these days we call it ESXi. So your ESXi, it stands for the Elastic Sky Exchange Interface. So it is the core of your VMware product line of suite. So ESXi, it has a small disk footprint less than 70 MB, and for added security and reliability we need some more space. So it is the foundation for the rest of the product line. First of all, we to create the vSphere environment. So first of all, we need to install your VMware SXI. Now SXI, it can be installed on the hard disk, USB disk, or the SD card, and it can also be installed on the diskless host. So with a feature called auto deploy. Now this SXI supports both kind of your virtual machine with operating system of 32-bit, as well as the operating system with the 64-bit. Now further, now SXI provides additional protection with the following features. So first feature is memory hardening, kernel module integrity, and TPM, means trusted platform module. So talking about the memory hardening, so the SXI kernel, user mode applications, and the executable components like drivers and libraries are located at random, non-predictable memory addresses. So this is how the SXI provides the memory hardening. And talking about the kernel module integrity, so now it is the integrity between so your kernel module, right? So how it is providing the kernel module integrity. So digital signing is there. So digital signing ensures the integrity and the authenticity of modules, drivers, and application as they are loaded by the VM kernel. So the integrity should be there in the modules, drivers, and applications when they are getting loaded into the VM kernel. So last year TPM is trusted platform module. Now your TPM, it ensures basically it's a hardware element that creates a trusted platform and enables affirmation that the boot process and all the drivers loaded are genuine. Now further talking about what is VM kernel. So the SXI hypervisor is also called the VM kernel. The VM kernel receives requests from the virtual machines. Now see in this diagram, so VMware hypervisor, it is also called the VM kernel. Now the VM kernel, it communicates with the virtual machine like this, and the virtual machine it communicates with the SXI host. So how the communication is going? So basically it's the virtual machine monitor is there for each and every virtual machine. So there is a VMM, virtual machine monitor. So your virtual machine, it communicates with the hypervisor using this virtual machine monitors. And what the commands are there. So accordingly your VMM, it instructs the VM kernel. So now talking about the minimum hardware requirements for your SXI installation. So first of all, processor. So it should have a 64-bit processor with 2 cores, and with one more feature, LHF and the SHF, it should be enabled in the processor. And now the second is AMD no execute means NX, and Intel execute disable. So these functions, these should be enabled in the server BIOS. So apart from that, to run the 64-bit OS on the virtual machine, right? So enable the use of your hardware virtualization or the Intel VTX or the AMD RVI in the server BIOS. And now talking about the LHF, so LHF stands for the load AH instruction from the flags, and the SHF store AH instructions into the flag. Now LHF and SHF are used to load and store instructions for certain status flags. So instructions are basic commands composed of one or more symbols that are passed to the CPU as input. Now talking about the NX and the XD, your XD bit. Now NX and the exhibit or the function, they should be enabled in the software BIOS. So why? So basically NX and oblique exhibit, it should be enabled in the CPU in the BIOS. So NX stands for the never execute. So this was the feature which was introduced by AMD 64. Your AMD say for AMD 64 processors in 2003 by the AMD vendor. And the same feature, so when it was introduced by the Intel, then Intel called it XD. So XD stands for the execute disable. So this feature, it was introduced by Intel in 2004. So annex oblique exhibit marks certain areas of your memory as non-executable with a flag. So when this happens, the processor will then refuses or do not execute any kind of code that is present in these areas of memory. So what areas of memory? Annex and the XD. So any attempt to execute code from the page that is marked as no execute will result in a memory access violation. So this feature adds a layer of security to a computer by providing a protected area against malicious code. Not talking about the memory, means RAM. So minimum requirement is 4 GB, and to install some virtual machines and to use some features of your SXI host and the vCenter, then we are not vCenter, only SXI host. We need 4 GB of the additional RAM. So total we need 8 GB. So now talking about the next. So one or more gigabits or 10 GB Ethernet controllers. So these are the minimum requirements. And talking about the controllers. So basic SCSI control should be there. RAID controller can be there. And SCSI disk, they are local. And for your serial ATA means SATA. So this disk will be considered remote disk, not the local one. So again, processor 64-bit is your main requirement with 2 cores and with LHF and SHF instructions. And 32-bit processor are not supported. So here only we need the 64-bit processors. Now again, we have to enable your NX oblique XD bit in the CPU BIOS. Sorry, CPU bit in the BIOS. So RAM 8 GB, hard disk SATA 500 GB, and NIC 1 GB or 10 GBE, like that. So now talking about the installation. So before moving towards the installation, let us understand some basics of the bare metal machine that is used to install the SXI host. So here we are with the Dell PowerEdge R630 server. So it is the rear view. So now in the rear view we are having a kind of port called ID rack. So this port it is used to get the console of the server by remote, right? And next we are having 4 NICs by default, which are built on the motherboard. So it is a port 1, port 2, port 3, and port 4. And apart from that, we have also installed some kind of card over here. So in this card, there are further 4 ports like port 5, your port 5, 6, 7, 8. And apart from these ports, right? So there we are with the redundant power supply. Means there are 2 power supply. If one goes fail, then our system it can use the other power supply. Now what steps to install the SXI host? Now here we are talking about the HP server. So how to make the installation on the HP server? So first of all, we have to download the HPE customized SXI 6.5.0 ISO image. From where we can download it. So for that we require HPE website. So what the vendor is there of your bare metal machine. So from the same vendor you have to download the ASXi 6.5.0 ISO image. So now launch ILO console. Now using your ILO console, you have to map this your ISO image onto the CD oblique DVD ROM drive or RAM drive. Then you have to power on the blade server. So after power on self test means your POST. Server detects the attached bootable ISO image of the ASXi 6.5, and then your installation it will begin. Like here your HP Prolent ILO console is there, and here see virtual drives are there. So now click on the virtual drives, and here we are with F colon G colon folder, image folder, URL, image file, and URL. So here we can map the ISO image onto this image file. So after that, so after mapping the ISO image over here, now you can start your machine, means your bare metal machine, and then your installation will begin. So now we are just going to proceed with the practical. Now see friends, now here we have started the machine. Now here starts your installation. Enter to boot. Now loading SX installer. Initializing scheduler. Now the user loaded successfully. So now here it will take some time, right? So sit back and relax and see the installation. Well, now press enter to continue, and F11 for your EU elements and user license agreement. So here we have to press the F11. Now select a disk to install or update. So here simply we need to press the enter, because what the disk was there 10 GB. So it has taken that disk. Press enter. About the keyboard layout, US default is okay, and root password. So here we are just going to give the root password, then confirm password. And passwords match. Now press enter to continue. Now confirm install. The installer is configured to install x86.5.0 on MPX VM HBA C0T0L0. So basically it's the hard disk. So it is the interface for the hard disk like virtual machine, host, bus, adapter. So warning, this disk will be repartitioned. So to continue, press F11. Now it's installing. Now friends, here the installation is complete, and now press enter to reboot. To start, now it is loading VMware SXI. So now here it is loading its modules. Different modules are there. So these modules are getting loaded. Starting services. Well, now my server it has booted. Now here we are going to configure its management network. So to configure the management network, so for that we have an option of pressing F2, which is used to customize system or view logs, and F12 it is used to restart and shut down. So now there are two options: F2 for customization and F12 for shutdown and restart. So let us press F2. So to configure management network, we are going to press F2. Now authentication is required over here. Let's put the password. Here we are. Wait for some time. Configure password. It's okay now. Configure management network. Press enter. So network adapters VM-NIC 0 is there. So at the network adapters, so VM-NIC 0 is there. It's okay. Now press arrow keys to come down. IPv4 configuration. So here we need to give the IP configuration. So first of all, disable IPv4 configuration for management network, or use dynamic, or set static. Now now press space bar. Now set static IPv4 address and network configuration. So first of all, now here we are just going to give the IP address. So for me it's the IP address like 10.0.0.150. Now press arrow key, come down. Now the subnet mask, it's okay for me. Default gateway, it is my 10.0.0.1. Enter OK. Now IPv6 configuration. Do not need any kind of IPv6 IP addressing scheme. So simply disable it. Press enter. OK. Your DNS configuration. Now for the DNS configuration, use the following DNS server. So here my server is at IP address 10.0.0.1. No alternate DNS server at present for me. Now the host name, it is SXI 3. It is SXI 4. Dot domain name netprocloud.com. Press enter. Now set the custom DNS suffix. So here we need to provide the suffix. So suffix at present for me is netprocloud.com. So it's my domain name. So basically it comes after the host name. So 6i4 is my host name for this server, and netprocloud.com. So it's my suffix for the for this E6i host. Press enter. Now up and down arrow key, it is for the selection, enter to change, and escape for exit. Now press escape over here. You are done with all the configuration. Press Y. Now restart in progress. Now this is how we have configured the management network for this E6A host. Now it is restarting. Shutting down. Now my E6A host, now it is getting up. Now loading modules. Now the server it is up and running for me, right? So let's see how to access the server. Now friend, let us see how to access the hypervisor that we have installed recently. Now there are 5 ways to access the E6 or E6A host. So these 5 ways are DCUI, means your direct console user interface. Second is command prompt. Third is vSphere client. Fourth is vSphere web client. And number 5 is your vCenter. First of all, DCUI. Your DCUI stands for the direct console user interface. Now since your E6A host that we have installed, now it is lying in the data center. So it's quite difficult to go there and access that your E6A host. So what we do? So by first method we can access this your console. So it is a DCUI. So how it comes? So first of all you have to download the putty.exe. Then running putty. Then you have to run the putty.exe by putting IP address of the E6A host. So it may not connect because your SSH or on E6A host is disabled. So then we have to enable the SSH. We have to enable the SSH. So how to enable? So log into the E6A host by pressing F2 and go to troubleshooting option. Then there in the troubleshooting option, your SSH is there. You have to enable it. And one more option is the TSM. You can also enable this option TSM. So again run putty.exe by putting IP address of the E6A host. Now there you will get your login and password. So first of all put the login as root, and what the password we have provided to the E6A host at the time of installation, then that password you have to provide over here. Then you will get the hash, means dollar sign, sorry, your pound sign, and on the pound sign or your prompt you can write DCUI and press enter. At that time you will get the DCUI, means that console user interface. Now second method is command prompt. So further on the command prompt we have three options. First is your vCLI, means vSphere command line interface, and then your VMA, vSphere management assistant, and then your power CLI. vCLI and VMA can be downloaded from the E6A host web page, enter the IP of your host, and then click on the link to download vCLI and the VMware. And for the PowerCLI, it can be downloaded from the VMware website. And number third is vSphere client. So basically, it's a software development kit, or it's a tool that we have to install on the top of your Windows machine. So once installed, then you will get this kind of screen. So here you have to put the IP address or the host name of the SXI host, then username, which is the root there, and password, then login. Then comes your vSphere web client. So how to come with the vSphere web client? So there you have to open the browser, and in the browser you have to put the HTTPS colon slash slash f2dn or the IP address of your vCenter, and colon 9443. So 9443 is a code to access the vCenter on the web browser. So now press enter. Then you will be prompted for your username and the password. So simply put the username which is provided by the vCenter server admin, and then password. So now you can access the vCenter as well as your SXA host. So this is how we can access the SXA host, right? Now further, how to add the lessons. So once we start with your SXA host, so after accessing your SXA host, then you can set the your license option and the NTP. So this we will do in the practical. Now there are some log files in the SXA which is very much efficient for the troubleshooting purpose. You can say helpful for the troubleshooting purpose. So SXA host, it has got two types of log. One is the host D log, and the second is the VM kernel log. So these log files contain entries while the SXI host is up and running. So these log files can be exported to the desktop, and further they are exported to the VMware for the purpose of troubleshooting. So dear friends, this is all about your today's lecture. So in the next lecture, we will study the vCenter 6.5 and the PSC. So here comes the new term like PSC. So it stands for Platform Service Controller. So these two topics, vCenter and PSC, that we will learn in the next lecture. So make sure you should be there. Thanks a lot.